Welcome back, everybody. We're done with Erangel. Miramar coming up very, very shortly. 2 games to go tonight, Jordan. It has been everything tonight. We've had it all, really. Q Confirmed dominating, the return of Buriram United, and of course an OCE win from our first 3 games.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Carnage, they put a win on the board and then they put a 3rd place on the board as well to follow that. So not too disappointing of a night for them, all things considered. That said, you know, the pack that's leading from the front, they're just continuing to do the same as what we've seen from them throughout the first day. Heading into the second day, Q Confirm have found a win, Buriram have found a win, Cerberus have a 2nd place, and they've all been generally reasonably consistent. A 5th in there as well for Q Confirm, a 6th and a 5th for Cerberus, and a 7th as well for Buriram. So they're still kind of keeping into the placement points, even when they're not being able to get those big wins on the board. Taking a look at the top 5, Xenox, Jowman continues to lead from the front. Heisaki in there, Jay is in there. That was the top 3 going into our last game. What is interesting to see who's in 4 and 5, Tonkei and Nordra from Golden Cat and Buriram respectively. Certainly been seeing them up in the scoreboard quite a lot as well. So not really too surprised to see them in the top 5.
No, not at all. Nordra has really started to turn it on tonight, especially for Buriram. Has been a very, very big reason for their success. And of course, not much of a surprise at all to see Q Confirm really hulking up a lot of the slots on both kills and damage. You know, Gems, JS, Jowman, the big 3 for Q Confirm, and everything they've been able to do so far here for PCS1 APAC. Heisaki's kind of had a really good team behind him, but he is also kind of going it alone in terms of damage and kills as well for Cerberus Esports. We're heading to Miramar, though, for match number 4, our second last match of the night, and Jordan, points per map does say Buriram in first, apparently, for Miramar.
Yeah, for Miramar. Now, there are some caveats there, to be honest, Xenox. I mean, obviously, Miramar is one that we didn't get to see as much of as Erangel last night, so it's kind of hard to get a gauge as to how many of those points, you know, can be really relied upon when you've only seen 2 maps. You know, it's not a huge data set to pull from. But yeah, looking at Miramar, Buriram certainly got a lot of kills on that map. Placement points were also pretty good for them. So they were doing solidly. The other teams to kind of shout out, Golden Cat and Q Confirm continued to put in good work. And it's not a huge surprise to see 3 of the top 4 teams being able to perform on both of these maps. Now, the one key takeaway for me, Xenox, is Cerberus had an awful night last night on Miramar. They got 1 placement point and 5 kills across the 2 maps. So they're going to be a team that we are seeing, you know, perform pretty well right now. They're in 2nd place, but like 90% of their points, even more maybe than 90% of their points, have come from Erangel.
Yeah, so there's not just them, but then there's also the opposite effect, which is like Bahamut Gaming, obviously, on Miramar. So there are going to be differences between Miramar and Erangel. It does depend from time to time how much of it, you know, really... It depends, though, on the team. Some teams, it's like a 50-50 split. Other teams, it's like pretty massive. Like in a really, really strange way when you think about it, Jordan. So what I want to see from this is the teams that struggled on Miramar on Thursday night, not last night, to turn things around. And what I wanted to see earlier on in the night was Bahamut Gaming turn things around on Erangel. That didn't happen. So now I'm intrigued. Do they bring their Miramar form back here into night 2?
Yeah, that's a good question. Fury Australia on your screen right now was a team that absolutely struggled on Miramar as well. They got 0 placement points and only 6 kills here. So they're a team that will certainly want to change their fortunes on this map. And it's quite strange, right? Because traditionally, this has been a map that we've actually associated quite positively with Fury in some of the previous tournaments that we've casted. Now, with the caveat obviously being that those are ANZ tournaments, so the meta may be a little bit different, something they're more used to, and a region that they generally have tended to dominate a little bit harder than APAC. But with that said, you know, I had the expectation that Miramar would be a good map for them. And that didn't eventuate yesterday night, but there's always the opportunity to sort of turn that around, particularly heading into next week. I think that's the real talking point. It's like, okay, well, look, you might be fine to have a pretty rough Miramar week in week number 1, but you definitely need to have a good Miramar week in week 2, where 60% of the maps are going to be on Miramar.
Bahamut Gaming, 14th position. At one point, they were last, which was a while ago, and then of course on the first night they ended up picking up a win in match 4, which for us at the time kind of came out of nowhere. We were surprised. They hadn't really, I don't even think actually at that point they had found any placement points prior to that win. So They came out onto Miramar with a bang. Even the last game of that night, again on Miramar, they performed very, very well. It's like a different team. So my eyes are definitely on them. Day Trade, currently 6th position. They were another team kind of similar to Cerberus that didn't perform very well in the Charity Showdown. And I got to say, they've just been quietly going along now. You know, we always see like Venauticas always running around, being very aggressive. Poochills, Matey, Flash, good players. Should have definitely won the last game in my eyes. I think they really threw that, but they've been a lot better here for PCS 1 APAC.
Yeah, for sure. Day Trade are, I mean, they're not really in the discussion just yet, but they're kind of hanging around. They're like the gatekeeper at the moment. The way that I look at the standings, and you can see here right on the left of your screen, is that it's kind of a 4-horse race. Q Confirmed down to Golden Cat are probably the ones that are still able to win this tournament. But Maogi, Day Trade, DIC, Divine, MSC, and then to an extent, Astra and Fury, I'd probably still kind of keep in the discussion, but I think that's where things start to fall off a little bit for sort of the middle of the pack, if that makes sense. So I think for Day Trade, the turnaround that they've been able to have from what they did in Charity Showdown, which was not great at all. They ended up in 14th place to right now sitting there in 6th. You know, that's a great turnaround for them.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like they've been good. They've been good to watch as well. Had they won that game, I think it would have been really reward for effort. 2nd place is okay. They still picked up kills. MSC Theraton as well is another team I would have expected more from coming into this tournament. Of course, they didn't participate in the Charity Showdown, so it's hard to really sort of gauge them as much, but they did win the Thailand series. You know, they got the MVP, Yoshi Minburi, who has had a disastrous tournament so far, Jordan, after, you know, these 9 matches or so, including this. We'll see how this one goes. Maybe turns it around here, but I expected more. You know, the people who, you know, I asked about Yoshi Minburi, won the MVP. There's been a bit of storied history around him as well in the region. And I thought, you know, is this guy someone who can compete and live up to something like a Duckman, for instance, Jowman? Right now, he hasn't performed like any of them.
No, certainly not. He's been a bit of a non-factor, actually, quite frankly, for MSC. There have been a few sort of standout players, and they're largely the ones that we probably expected to see coming through from those top teams. And so that seems to have really continued here in PCS APAC #1. A couple of the other teams that I want to touch on that probably need to step up a little bit here on Miramar are Gearbox, interestingly enough, someone that still kind of continued to struggle today, but has had a bit of a better time, and Carnage. And now, Carnage kind of needed to step it up on both maps, and they've upheld their end of the bargain on Erangel. But if they're able to continue it here on Miramar, continue to stay within the placements, then they're probably going to have a bit of a better time. They so far haven't got a single placement point on Miramar. Now, they didn't have a single placement point going on to Erangel at all into Game 2 of tonight. They end up with quite a lot at the end of all 3 of our matches. So the opportunity is there. The possibility also is there. I think potential is really the word I'm looking for here for Carnage, in that it really can't go any worse than what it did yesterday night. They got 0 placement points. They got 1 kill on Miramar, and they might be able to turn that around. You know, it can't really go much worse unless you go 0 placement points, 0 kills. But God forbid that happens.
Yeah, God forbid. God forbid. We'll see how things sort of transpire here for match #4. Minute and a half until phase 2 now here on Miramar. Now, first game of Miramar for the night. Malky close by to the vicinity of Eagle Sentinel Shooter. The man surely takes these shots, although that's a very, very fast pickup. Chunk already went by him before he even potentially wanted to take those shots.
He can wait for the rest of the team. This is normally what you're going to see happen, is that man will just scout out and see how many players go past. This will be the 3rd. Now there's 1 more. He's taken the opportunity to fire, so has Entry Fragger. Perhaps they were waiting for Entry Fragger to get into position. Either way, some good damage done, but no kill. Jets jumped out. What's happened there? He's knocked himself out. Dakon's out of his vehicle as well. It's all kind of gone wrong for Maogi, thanks to this little rotation cam from Eagle Sentinel Shooter. Man's on the move. He wants to confirm this kill.
I mean, even though for Eagle Sentinel Shooter, they're so far into the blue, 30 seconds till phase 2, how much are you really going to gain from this? You're going to be so late into the next circle as well. From here, you kind of need to be clean and precise. There's a lot more on the line probably for Maogi, considering their 5th place current position, whereas Eagle Sentinel Shooter in last place at the moment. But we'll see how that sort of takes place.
Yeah.
But then long way to go here as we are 5 seconds away from getting our phase 2 circle to get the island circles.
Do we get the dream? No. Disappointing. I was so looking forward to it. It's been like, I don't know, even more than a year now, really, since we saw that fabled circle in the ANZ Champs Season 1, which went all the way down to those islands. Actually, it happened twice in that season, and it hasn't ever happened since then, at least in any games that I've been casting. So, been missing out. Flash is in a bad spot. There's no way you're going to get out of that one. AMC, too good. Couple of quick shots with the barrel. Looks like Divine, Golden Cat, and Day Trade have all run into each other on this rotate, and that's not going to be fun for any of these teams trying to get out of La Bendita.
It's not going to be fun at all. This might not be a fun game for a lot of teams. Miramar can be harsh. If you don't get the circles and you're running around out into the open, you're very much a shooting target.
Can I just say, by the way, guess who got the circle again? Guess who drops Impala?
Carnage.
Yeah. So, it's Carnage's day.
Yeah.
They're back.
That's what I said before. When it's your night, it's your night. You can.
In fact, they might even overtake Astra and Fury.
Off the back of this game, potentially, yeah. Lots still to be played out for this game in particular, but you're right, could happen. Fury have had a very, very rough night, unfortunately for them. Astra's been okay. Not probably good enough, being a bit unfortunate at times. NMC was, well, very much just easy walk up there. Matey Venotica downed and now eliminated. Puchel's lost with a life a day trade to go from a winning position in that last game to get the chicken dinner. Didn't get it. Fell short. Too much attention on Rain. Second place to Buru Ramp. Now potentially out in last place here. As another coach just popped up on your screen. Make sure to claim that as quick as possible. Does obviously go very, very quickly. Gearbox and Victim Rise taking shots at each other just south of Impala at the moment, inside of the circle. We head back over to Golden Cat, who, well, has just sat Zoid mate Maximus. No way he's going to be getting back up, and it's just been a rough night for Astra and Zoid as well.
Yeah, it certainly has. They still have a bit of distance to cover as well. Maogi's headed in their direction, so I'm not sure it'll get much better. Victim Rise have been a little bit better tonight than what they were last night, but they've really been eclipsed on the bottom end of the standings by Carnage so far tonight. I think Carnage has been sort of the silver lining of the bottom four. They've definitely done a lot of work, and that's put teams like Farmer Gaming and VTR and Eagle as well down significantly further, right? Because Carnage was that team that was just like doing nothing yesterday, but now they're kind of popping off, and so makes things a bit interesting towards the bottom end of the standings. Gearbox, however, courtesy of Chin, find themselves a point, killing Kibirak, and Fox plays back onto John. So it's just, this is one of those fights that you don't really want to get into if you're Gearbox or if you're VTR, but you're kind of just stuck in it by nature of being stuck in it.
It has been good to see, though, Eagle Sentinel Shooter, VTR have been amongst it early on here in match 4, the two teams down the very bottom. I've got to say, there's no team, at least in this lobby, this tournament, that is like dead last by like a mile. Like even Eagle Sentinel Shooter at times, Jordan, have looked okay. They've looked good as we go for phase 3 to Carnage can get another feed. No, they don't. It goes over to Buru Ram. United up north, hard circle shift. MSC as well, recipients to this sort of circle. Bahuma, their Miramar luck continues as well here for phase 3.
Gaming have spotted out Extreme. This is a long-range spray with a barrel. God's done well to hang on to it, but no tags onto Extreme in this case, because Lynxie have been spotted out by Nocturne of Maogi Esports as well. So this rotation just does not look like it's going to be easy for Astra at all. Admittedly, Extreme is inside the circle, so if Lynxie and Nikus can join up with him, they might be feeling a little bit more comfortable. But so far for Astra, it's just been a long, scenic route through Miramar, and they haven't really been able to play the game. They've just been rotating this whole time.
Spot me out, Buru Ram, who have stepped up a notch here on night number 2, or day number 2, wherever you are in the world. Third place, only 2 points behind Cerberus. I've got to say, probably, like, well, QConfirm have been very, very good tonight, Jordan. Buru Ram has been right there, I think, in a very even manner. Like, to me, if we had only had tonight and we didn't have Thursday, they'd be neck and neck for, like, first. It'd be, like, very, very tight, very close. But QConfirm got off to a flyer. on that first night. And that's why there's still that gap between them and GC, Buriram, Cerberus. But it's only like a 30-point gap. And those teams are all capable of picking up 20 to 25-point games if everything goes well.
Well, Cerberus, we saw a 17-kill win, so even increase that number up to 27, maybe 30 on a great day. It's obviously asking a lot, but these things can happen. We've seen it before. So to keep it within 30 points is certainly still keeping it within the discussion. Q Confirm, at the moment, looking like they are the best team in the competition, but that can very quickly change next week when teams even have a little bit of extra time to go back and look at the VODs and figure out how things have gone wrong for them, how things went right for Q Confirm, and maybe what they can do to alleviate that. Cerberus might not be able to do a whole lot in this game, though, having now lost Subang as well, and they'll be down to 2. Golden Cat being the proponent of that. Love to see that if you're a Golden Cat fan, because not only does it give points into the back pocket of Golden Cat, but it means Cerberus is going to have a tougher time, and that makes it all the more easy for Golden Cat to catch back up to them and overtake them again in this game.
That's the thing as well, though. It's not always just about first place. Ideally, yes, you want to be winning. Winning is always the mentality that you want to have. But if you're Buriram sitting in 4th, Jordan, 2nd place is just as spicy. It's just as good. And that's obviously very much neck and neck with Golden Cat and Cerberus. And at the end of the day, probably, I don't know actually off the top of my head what the pay difference is between 4th and 2nd, but it's usually substantial.
Yep. Looks like Turtle's having a bit of difficulty with the buggy, but we've got it on lockdown. All good. Circle Shift goes right on top of Bahumat Gaming. And we've been talking about them a little bit today, saying things haven't been quite so good for them, but they did win round 4 yesterday night, and we're in round 4 again tonight. So they might be able to do that once again. They say history repeats itself, and I wonder whether we're going to get an example of that here in PCS APAC. Certainly looking good for Bahumat Gaming in terms of positioning, but they don't have the numbers necessarily. Only 2 players alive. Now, it's possible still with 2, but it doesn't fill you with a whole lot of confidence.
No, it doesn't. Although if we can get to another 7-8 minutes, then having 2 players is not the end of the world. But on Miramar, where everything is so open, it's very quickly, then likely you'll get picked up eventually. There's Samoy knocked down at the rock. Buriram, very slow going in this game, just the 1 kill, but getting amongst it a bit. Ren finding a knockdown on the kill feed onto Gold Meow. So Carnage, who, you know, night 1 had like 8 kills, which was okay, not horrible. Tonight it's been all about, it's almost been the opposite of night 1, where it's been all about the placements and less about the kills. The Cerberus finally eliminated. They're not going to get much from this game at all, which does now give credence to Golden Cat and Buriram United. Their chances of being able to overtake them is exponentially increased.
Yeah, I'm just looking at Astra's position there on the minimap, and I'm wondering if that's where Golden Cat are looking to end up. It's a little compound. They'll be able to breach it, try to breach it. Victim Rise eliminated in the end there by Carnage. So some more points for Carnage. Might even be able to overtake 13th, 12th, 11th. Yeah, maybe even up to 10th actually out of this game. It really depends on how far they can go. There's a lot of places they can grab.
Like, if they win this game, they're only 12 points away from 5th. It's almost hard to believe, Jordan. That's how close this leaderboard is, besides the top 4 who are kind of running away with it. Tonkei, double knockdown onto the DIC members, JJ Leo and 74L1. Golden Cat coming out on top in this fight. Not too much of a surprise considering the way they've been handling themselves so far here. The PCS1 APAC, Anquan, CVD, trying to get back into it at least for DIC. And in the end, it's working. And Tonkei's the last one standing for Golden Cat. He can make a last-ditch run for 6 sacks. I don't think it'll be a successful one. Goes for the rock instead. The nade would have finished him off anyway. But Fury are hearing this, and they need to get involved. They need to try and rebuild some confidence, Jordan. Recapture some of that momentum that they had from night 1. Insight, spray, it's decent. Gets Anquan to half health. The nade only has 1 more to follow up from that. And it just bounces away from CVD and Anquan. But Fury, got to be aggressive here. Got to just rush in. You've got the numbers. Move as 2. Clear out these rooms, get the double kill.
Yeah, Insight might have been better off just firing there instead of cooking the grenade. He wasn't to know, I guess, that they were going to commit to the cross, but they did. CVD and Anquan could still ruin the game here for Fury. So Fury have the advantage, but they don't want to overcommit to this. They don't want to lose players right here because this is their opportunity to have a good game. This side of the circle is relatively quiet if they deal with DIC. But if they lose 2 players in doing so, it's not going to be worth it.
You don't want to lose anyone from this. You really shouldn't be. Oh, Wacky Lucat doesn't realize where Noctan. No, Anquan, not Noctan, is located. Anquan holding that position. In the end, though, it will be all 4 members of Fury Australia staying up. Not a bad circle for them as well.
It's a good trade from Ronan.
Very shortly after that, Astra going to get a bit of circle luck as well this game. It almost is reminiscent to night number 1, where on Miramar, they'd finally got a bit of circle luck, but had so much pressure from the teams around them. This might be the case here again. Buriram and Carnage out to the east. They're going to have to start moving at least within the next 30 seconds.
Indeed. This is the first real curveball that's been thrown to Carnage in this game. And they can get into the circle first, but then they'll have to be aware of Buriram behind them. There's an opportunity to move, though. As Chin starts firing those shots in the direction of Buriram, I'm looking at the map. I'm seeing Bryn, B2, and Monty getting into the circle. Now, they're in front of Buriram, and they've left Rain behind. It's an interesting maneuver, because if Rain gets the timing right, he can certainly backstab one of these Buriram players, or perhaps even more. The shots do come through, and Nordra goes down. Well done from Rain. Needs to be aware of someone turning around, but this is a good start for Buriram to this engagement.
I think the other members of Carnage as well have got eyes on Edie and Konaxi, so God Meow's kind of the unknown right now. Rain does have to be careful. He's at a lower ground position, doesn't have a whole lot of cover from the rest of his teammates. God Meow, I think he's going to finally spot him, and well, he does immediately flush him. That was probably always going to be the case, because the rest of Carnage didn't have eyes on God Meow. Konaxi, a bit further pushed up. But this is a really good position for Carnage to try and gatekeep Buriram. It's a tough ask. Buriram United have found form. They've been very, very good over really the last 3 to 5 games. Carnage have definitely got a task in front of them, but if they can meet this task, Jordan, on the other side of it, might be the opportunity to overtake Fury Australia.
Admittedly, Carnage has also found some pretty good form recently. Yes, they've had circle luck, and they haven't had to do too much fighting, but they've been better than what we saw on day 1. So they're on the up and up as well. The 3-on-3. God Meow leading the charge right now for Buriram, and the utility gets traded backwards and forwards. Some good damage. It's going to force God Meow to tuck his head. Eagle Sentinel Shooter arrive now, and this could be problematic for Carnage. It could be problematic as well for Buriram, because now that third partying team is going to be the one that is here to feast. It's entry fragger to finish off Carnage, and that's how quickly your fortunes can change.
Well, the same can be said for Eagle Sentinel Shooter, the team on the bottom place of the standings currently. You know, you just peek over that hill, and all of a sudden you've just got everyone in your sightlines. You can see Carnage, you can see Buriram. They can just take shots at everyone. 4 quick kills. Eagle Sentinel Shooter can wipe out the remaining forces of Buriram United. God Meow. And Edie's still alive. Blue now pushing, though. Eagle Sentinel Shooter should be able to finish this, and they do. Turtle found 1 kill for Divine in that, down a bit south. But Eagle Sentinel Shooter, Jordan, they get a bit of luck going their way here. 16th place, looking to try and overtake Victim Rise and force them down into the last place position.
Well, another team that gets that circle favorable is Q Confirm, and we know how solid they have been at converting these kinds of advantages. It's just another one presented on a silver platter for Q Confirm, who have been actually relatively quiet so far this game. They haven't been getting into any engagements. They're all going to be healthy. They've got 4 players alive. They'll have a lot of utility, and I think they're going to be ready to start fragging out fairly shortly.
Niku's able to get both Noctan and Jet. Should be able to get the revive. Astra will have 2 still alive here, going towards the final 8 teams. Eagle Sentinel Shooter versus Divine. Down below them is QC. We've almost sort of forgotten about our perennial leaders, Jordan, have got 4 alive. No kills, but something that we used to see in the Oceanic region is the old Atletico, who would usually have very low kills, but all 4 alive at this point in the game, they would usually go on and win. And the same can be said now for probably Q Confirmed. They're in this sort of position. Big fight, though, coming up in the next few moments, the next 30 seconds to a minute against Eagle Sentinel Shooter. They get the initial knockdown thanks to Jalman's nade onto Man. Still 3 up, though, for Eagle Sentinel Shooter. And this is a lot of utility that is being thrown back and forth between these 2 teams. Spit staying more so centered, not really up close with this fight. And for now, 365 do get a reprieve. They can get the revive, they can move forward.
Yeah, Q Confirm, not too eager to overcommit to that one. We'll see Link C dropping to the zone, which leaves just Nikus left alive for the moment, but he's also outside. And so he'll just give that one up. Astra get themselves another 8th place, another placement point on the board. Chin slugging away right now. So too is Tonke, although he's not necessarily doing the slugging per se, but he's at least trying to survive. Has been spotted, though, by Fury, and you can only imagine this doesn't last too long for him. Push is already starting to come in from inside. Ronan's over to his left. Golden Cat will go out in 7th. Another kill for Fury, but now they'll have to try and deal with Golden Cat, or rather with Q Confirm, I should say, who have suffered a loss. Geoman goes down to Chin, who's biding his time, that's for sure. Ronan's in trouble, though. JS will finish that, and it's surely a confirmed kill for Q Confirm. The trays are starting to come back in from Jukesy, though.
How much could Jukesy get here? Fury needed a bit of luck. They needed to turn their fortunes around here. Match 4 here on Miramar, their old stomping grounds, where everything used to go right for them here. It hasn't quite been the case for PCS1 APAC. Insight finds one onto Elonix as he pushed up. Jukesy, though, still stuck towards the blue area. I'm not sure exactly how much more he's going to be able to contribute, though. MSC up north have still got Rossiter and Yoshimenburi, as you can see on your screens. Down south, Q Confirm are pretty much still controlling this entire area. Gearbox has still got a player, along with Eagle Sentinel Shooter, still pushing in, rotating around the south section of this circle. They've at least gotten off the bottom of the standings. Still a bit of work to be done, though, and Q Confirmed are going to make it very difficult for them, even though they're only down to 3 players. Everyone is 3 or less in terms of players. No teams left with 4 up.
Chin could ruin another team's day, though, as he keeps an eye on Eagle Sentinel Shooter. They haven't spotted him out just yet. There's utility headed in his direction, but it's just a smoke. And our attention back to Spit, who was also watching Eagle Sentinel Shooter. Chin doesn't quite get the second player. Finally, the headshot, man down. And he might actually be able to get the 1-on-3 now. The Molotovs get thrown on in. The grenade, a little bit too much for Chin, but he has certainly ruined the day of Eagle Sentinel Shooter, and Q Confirm are ready to capitalize.
Yep, ready to clean up. They're not going to be able to get at least more than 1 revive here without having to take a fight. Man's not going to get revived. Entry frag is up. Very low. Has to heal up first while at least still inside of the smoke. Has he been spotted? Oh, he has. Spit. That was just insane. One quick little goes tap, basically into the smoke. Headshot sits him back down after the quick revive from Vandal 9. 8 kills from Eagle Sentinel Shooter. Certainly an improved performance for them here on Miramar match 4 of day 2. But it may be coming to an end very, very shortly. Bahumat Gaming still alive, Jordan. It is their map, of course. Not too much of a surprise. Q Confirm, only 4 kills, but soon to be potentially 5 if they can finish off Vandal.
And we'll just mention quickly, MSC did manage to get the res onto Elonix, so they're back to 3 players alive. It's Q Confirm and MSC that are looking like the powerhouses right now on Miramar. Eagle Sentinel Shooter hiding away in the hut. That's Vandal 9. Bahumat Gaming do have 2, so they're in the discussion. And Insight really at this point is just being a sneaky snake. He's trying to hope that no one will spot him out. But MSC know that he's around there somewhere, and they're starting to clear that area of the map. So I'd say his days are numbered. Q Confirm for me look like the team that's controlling the circle the best once again. I'd say that they're probably in the pole position to finish this game off.
MSC just pushing around up north, pushing into Insight's direction. They'll flush him out. Yoshimenburi finds his first kill of this match in particular for MSC Theateron. They have got the north side, but as you said, QC probably with the best side, which is the south side section of the circle for phase number 8. Jay is just watching the angle for Vandal. Knows he's inside of that shack. Bahumat with a bit of high ground, though. Out to the east, I do wonder how much of an elevation do they have over QC. They might be actually on a very even playing field. More so just sort of like a west versus east. Bahumat on the east, QC on the west. Vandal throws out a smoke, but he's got JS watching the angle from Vandal's right-hand side. And that should be the end of Eagle Sentinel Shooter. No utility, though. A lot of it we saw Jordan used very much a while ago from pretty much almost every team. There's maybe one more Molotov, and that might be the last Molotov. There's the last life as well for Vandal 9. 3 teams left, MSC, QC, and Bahumat Gaming, the kings of Miramar, it seems.
Well, MSC might actually get a reprieve because it looks like Bahumat and Q Confirm are going to go up against each other. Orm shot coming through from Art God. Does not connect. Has to fall back onto the barrel. Q Confirm definitely will want to deal with Bahumat Gaming. And you can see at the moment on the minimap, they're still a little bit concerned about what MSC is going to do. So they don't actually want to engage this fight right now. Svit, again, continues to be that scout to the north and keeps an eye on the road, seeing whether or not MSC is pushing in. It's actually kind of hanging on a knife's edge, really. This could go whichever way. Right now, I'm sort of favoring MSC. Yes, they have to cross the road, but no one's interested in them at the moment. Both Bahamut and Q Confirm have to deal with one another first, even though they have a better position. If MSC can get the timing and cross the road at the right time, they can third-party this fight, maybe even start the fight on their own terms. How many smokes do they have, though? Not sure that they have too many. Confirm have a couple at least. I have the storm right now, Xenox. We've had the chaos. Things are slowed down. We're about to have some chaos again. So, smokes are up for MSC. They look to cross the road, and this is where things start to get interesting.
What's even more interesting is if QC can find almost all of the kills here, plus the win, the gap will be reaching almost 50-point territory to that second and third places teams. My boy, knockdown onto Yoshi Mamburi. That's probably a good summarization of how his tournament has gone so far. Not really that good. Also, the junior involved. Art God's going to be able to fall back though, get off that first aid kit. Jayers is so close to Art God. Gems knocked down onto Rossiter. QC start to push out. Although up close, Art God with the barrel. Nice knockdown onto Jayers. QC not going to be a far gone conclusion that they win this game. My boy got Rossiter. MSC are just gone. They didn't even get to fire a shot, it seems like. Now it's a 2 versus 2 between the kings of every game and the kings of Miramar, which is of course Bahamut Gaming apparently. Art God even takes out Gems. Tips him down. Svit's got the high ground, but he doesn't know where my boy is. Has to fall back. In a 1 versus 1 now here for match 4, day 2. Bahamut, do they find yet another win, as they did on night 1 for Miramar? High ground advantage for my boy. The pan.
No way.
That would be hilarious. One way to finish it. Svit can't even get a heal off. One tap, one job. Well, that's it. Again, Bahamut Gaming, just as they did in night 1, take out match 4 on Miramar. My God.
I don't even know what to say about that pan. Maybe he was just trying to fake him out. You just look at that pan flying across your screen, you're thinking, what the hell is going on? And it gives you that 1 second distraction, that timing for the final player to peek across and finish the game off. Bahamut Gaming to win the first game on Miramar on night number 1 and now on night number 2 as well. What a crazy game, though. I really thought MSC was going to cause a bit of a problem there, but the unfortunate reality for them was that once they got across the road, there was no cover. If they would have been able to get into that dip, they might have been able to do something from there. But Bahamut Gaming was watching it. Art got hit a really nice spray, and that was the end of MSC. Once they were stuck on top of that road, they were up in no man's land. The smokes fade, and that's game over for them. Q Confirm were distracted enough as well that Bahamut Gaming were able to turn the 2-on-3 in their favor. Great performance from the team from the Philippines, who has been a little bit inconsistent, but when they're able to turn it on, they're looking really, really solid.
No, it's not when they're able to turn it on. It's whenever we go to Miramar, right?
That's true.
Like, it's as simple as that. I mean, you got the stats. Maybe we can look at it a bit more in the break, especially after that win now. I want to see sort of, or at least I want to know, like, if we have only, like, we've only played 3 games of Miramar, right? So, like, I'd love to know what sort of the Miramar leaderboard is right now. And if we ignore Erangel, because I'd say for Erangel, Bahamut's probably, like, dead last, most likely. But then, obviously, including just Miramar, they would probably be up there as one of the best teams. It's a stark contrast between the 2 maps for them. That means, of course, then for next week, they might be able to, say, continue to climb up the standings. We'll see, of course, if they're able to then do it again in this last game to come, which they were able to do on night 1. So I kind of backed them in. At this point, I'd back them in, Jordan. Like, I'd be like, yeah, Bahamut Gaming have a very strong chance they could go back-to-back here.
Well, what I can tell you instantly, I haven't obviously updated from that last game, but at least on Erangel, Bahamut Gaming so far have found a total of 4 points. Wow. 4 kills. They haven't had any placements there.
That's
the only
6
team
games.
actually so far, aside from Eagle, Sentinel Shooter, who haven't been able to find some placement points. And yeah, they've been struggling on Erangel, that's fair to say. But Miramar certainly much better from them, and we'll get those updated stats when we come back from the break. But yeah, look, Bahamut Gaming, I don't know what it is about Miramar, but they certainly are one of those teams that seems to be able to make it work.
Yeah. Not just make it work, they're literally winning games. Like, they've won 2 games now. There's not too many teams for PCS1 APAC that can stake that claim and say they've won multiple chicken dinners. Like, besides Q Confirm, who have obviously won multiple chicken dinners. So for Bahuma Gaming, they've got to start to try and, if they can take this Miramar form over to Erangel, like it just seems like they would be able to compete for the top 3.
Yeah, they would be a real challenger. I mean, at the moment, they're not being able to do that. So you're right. They're going to need to do that next week. But look, for me right now, I'm happy to see them on Miramar, and I'm sure they're going to be happy going into next week to be seeing more Miramar maps.
Yeah, well, we're going to go to a break. As we come back after that, it will be the final game of the night, of course, which means then that could be the end of the code. So make sure you stick back, come around after the break. There'll be more codes on the other side.